What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Jimmy Johnson Jr., and I'm back on my podcast of Vitaminsports, where you take vitamins every day, just like we talk about sports every day. Man, it feels so good to be back here, man. Welcome me back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But today, I got to bring that fire. Because people are telling me I'm not bringing that fire like I used to. I'm about to bring that fire. Today's topic is one cannot change the many. As a Ravens fan, we always listen to the injury reports and say, man, I can't wait for this player to come back because he's going to change life for our team. He's going to add depth. He's going to, be a part of what we have as an organization, and he can push us further into the playoffs. Are you telling me Ray Lewis coming back? Well, how about Ed Reed? How about Terrell Suggs? We got to stop having this notion that we need these guys to come off an injury reserve and they're coming off of ACL injuries. That is a 2-year injury, especially if you got a twist, turn, bend, whoop, whoop, wop, whoop. Yeah. It's not one of those injuries where you should come rush back. Look at J.K. Dobbins. Look at Gus Edwards. Hell, we can look at other teams. Look at Chase Young. And the Commanders is like, yo, we get Chase Young, we can make a run for the playoffs. A run where? A run where? So you mean to tell me that the Washington Commanders are not going to lose another game and they're going to make it to the playoffs? One, they got to hope every other team in their division lose divisional games and they went out in that division. Number two, they got to hope and pray that the Eagles just can't get it right. The Cowboys just automatically just fall off, and then the Giants can't seem to see where they're going. That's a lot to ask. And what if that also happens? You mean to tell me y'all ready to compete with Minnesota? Y'all ready to compete with the 49ers? How about Seattle Seahawks? All these teams in the NFC are, yes, competing for divisional titles, because every division this year in the NFC has been competing, except for, I want to say, the NFC North, because that's locked up. That's locked up. The Vikings have gone out and showed you when they played against the Buffalo Bills that they about that life. They run the football. They throw the football. They got a dog at the receiver position. Their defense is phenomenal. And they're not racked with a whole bunch of injuries, which is a very good sign. Also, in order to compete for a championship, you need to have a good offense. You need to be able to run the football in this later time. If you can't run the football now and play good defense, don't even think about the championship, let alone the playoffs. Because this is where winning football comes into play. I'm not saying teams haven't done, spectacular things and won a championship. Hell, look at Kansas City. They couldn't stop nobody on defense, but their defense can give them one stop, and Patrick Mahomes will put up points up on them. And all they got to do now, it becomes a shootout. And you can't shoot out with the offense that Kansas City had when they won the Super Bowl against the 49ers. You couldn't compete with that, because you got to backpedal as fast as Tyreek's running forward. That's a lot to ask. You got to guard Travis Kelce with the safety and a linebacker. That's going to leave somebody open. But this is winning time football. And look at the Browns. The Browns are even talking about, man, if we can get back Deshaun Watson, man, the one cannot change the many. Now, for the quarterback, it's a little different, because he is the most important piece on the team. But the most important position on the team is the offensive lines. See where I'm going with this? When you have all the pieces lined up and you just need a quarterback, that's easy said than done. Even if you have the piece to add the quarterback, it's hard. It's hard to say that if Deshaun Watson comes back and Cleveland just going to turn it on just like that they're going to compete. Yeah, they're going to compete in the division, but I don't feel as though they're ready to compete for the playoffs or the Super Bowl. That's a lot. You not only have to have the right team, but you have to have the right coaching staff to have experience in those games. And that's the one thing that some of these teams don't have. We got to stop hoping that players can come back and change life. Because if that was possible, so many other teams in the league will be doing great. But every time I see a certain player come back, teams still not doing what they need to do. Like for us, we got certain pass rushers coming back, but we can't stop. We can't stop the quarterback from throwing the football. Yes, I know we played against the Saints, and that was a great win. I watched the game. I was there. The defense looked like they was ready to play. But if we'd have played against another quarterback, the game probably would have been a different story. And I'm not being a Ravens hater. I'm just being a Ravens realist. And a lot of people don't really watch the game after they watch the game. It's like when you play Pop Warner or you play college ball, coaches will have you watching film. If they have you watching film Pop Warner, then that's just something different. But you're watching film. You watch all the things that you didn't see in the real time. Or if you was on the field, the play that you missed. You're like, whew, I'm so glad he ain't throw the ball that way. Those are the things of why I watch film. I watch film to see those things that the Ravens could have done better. And there was a lot of things in that game that the Ravens could have done better. And there was a whole lot of things the Saints could have really took advantage of, especially on the defense. But a win is a win, and I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, and I love it. But the Ravens aren't fully healthy and probably will never be fully healthy until off-season. The off-season. We got so many holes in our defense, it's not even funny. Like, we're hoping that Marcus Williams comes back towards the end of the season, getting ready for the playoff berth. You're asking a man to come back who basically broke his wrist. That's a lot to ask a man to do in a short period of time. And that's a lot to put on his mind that, yo, I got to come back. I got to come back and be there for my team. Nah, man, you need to come back, rest, and just be there physically, but just not on the field. Go out there and support your defensive backs, your corners, the safeties. Hell, even the defense. That's true leadership. That's a guy that is a leader of men. Now, we see that a little bit with Chase Young, and they trying to rush him back. Bruh, Chase Young being out there ain't going to help nobody. It's not going to help them because they got so many holes on their team that Chase Young can't fill all them holes. They still have questions at the quarterback position. Every other day, there's talk out there saying, Carson Wentz, man, I think Carson Wentz should come back. Even though they beat an undefeated team. They said, man, I think Carson Wentz should come back. But then I'll be like, well, Tyler Heineke and Terry McLaurin got chemistry out there. Why would you disrupt that chemistry? Well, we paying one guy more than the other, and I get it. That's a business decision and a football decision at the same time. Because you want to win, but you want to win with the guy you paid the most money to sometimes. Like, look at Dallas. You know, they was fortunate that Cooper Rush, started to slow down. Because eventually, it would have been a hard decision, but not really a hard decision. Meaning, yeah, Cooper Rush is helping us win games, but Dak has won more games. Yeah, Cooper Rush has the offense looking good, but Dak makes our offense look better and the team look better. You get what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where you have to know the pulse of your organization. And like I said before, the one can't change the many. Back to my Ravens. We're hoping that a rookie and Tyson Bowser come back and fill the hole in our pass rush. He won't. Because we got a guy out there named Odafe Owe who hasn't shown up in any game this year, and don't let the stats fool you. He has not shown up. He's letting a guy that played on 2 previous teams outperform him, and I think he's about the age of 33, if I'm not mistaken, Justin Houston. Justin Houston is, I think, 2nd or 3rd in sacks in the NFL. He's playing phenomenally. Where's Owe? If Owe can just produce better results, then we might have something. Then we're going to say the hole is filled with our pass rush. But then he can't even do that because he doesn't show up in games. He does when he wants to. I want him to show up every game. I don't want him to show up when he's going against a third string tackle. I don't want him to show up when he's going against the worst offensive line in the NFL. I want him to show up when he's playing guys to the caliber of Trent Williams. I want that guy. I want that guy to go out there and give Trent Williams the blues. I know that's a lot to ask for because Trent Williams is the best tackle in football right now. But if you know, like I know, you want to be the best player in football, you got to go against the best. You got to beat the best. It's one of those things that psychologically gets in your mind and transforms all in your body, in your heart, and say, man, I'm about to go out here and bust his ass. Those are the things that you have to do in order to be a great player. And I haven't seen that from Monway. I've seen that from Justin Houston when he was in Kansas City. I saw when he did it when he was with the Colts. Same thing with JPP. I saw when he was with the Giants. I even saw it when he was with the Bucks. But I have not seen it from the other side of the football. And the Ravens keep signing these old dudes, expecting them to teach this young man. The question that I have is, did this young man really want to learn? Do he really want to get better? Do he want to be an all-time great player? And that's something that we shouldn't have to ask. That's something he should tell us. That's just something he should tell himself. You got to believe in yourself for anybody believe in you. Then I look at the linebacker core. A lot of people get on Patrick Queen. And I'm like, yes, you can get on Patrick Queen, but he hasn't played the position that long. And for a guy that hasn't played that position that long, he's surely going out there doing great things. And I want to say I'm proud of him, man. His family was right. Year 3 will be better than his previous years. And it has. He just got to tweak some things in order to get better. He got to tweak some things in order to get better. The one thing he has to tweak is you got to wrap up, man. I understand you want to deliver the big hit, but sometimes the smart tackle is bigger and more needed than the big hit. Look at Roquan Smith. You saw the impact that he did for the Ravens when he got into the game. He was doing run stuff. He was plugging up the hole. Every time Alvin Kamara tried to run between the gaps, Roquan Smith met him in the hole. He said, "Peekaboo, I see you." And that's what I want for Patrick Queen. I want him to meet the running backs in the hole and deliver the tackle. Now, as far as our secondary, it's a hit and miss. You asking guys that got one leg, one shoulder to do all-time great things. You asking the guy that's losing his speed in Marlon Humphrey. Like, a lot of people get on Marlon Humphrey, but they don't really watch the film. Marlon Humphrey's playing pretty good out there, but sometimes he had bad games. Every corner this year has had a bad game. Every year. Every corner this year, from the Jalen Ramsey to the Jair Alexander to Marlon Humphrey to Xavier Howard, all these guys have had bad games. All of them. The receiver position is getting better, but that's not to say that the cornerback position is getting better, because we can see Sauce, we can see the cornerback from Seattle, the 6'4", tremendous future defensive player of the year corner, Trayvon Diggs. It's hard playing corner, but like I said, the one cannot change the many. We look at every team in the NFL, and every team in the NFL has flaws. But this period right here, November, closer to the start of the playoffs, is where teams start to really start to see playoff contender football, which means we get to see teams that are hungry for the playoffs. We get to see if they're really hungry. And right now, I'm starting to see Tennessee, they're starting to become hungry. Derrick Henry is starting to look like King Henry. He's starting to move up in the depth charts of rushing leader. And you know it's crazy because before the season started, Nick Chubb said, "I don't want to be second." Well, it looks like you about to be third, buddy, because Derrick Henry is coming. And this is the time when he normally starts turning the wheel and saying, "Barbecue chicken." You saw it when he went against the Packers. You're starting to see Patrick Mahomes wheels starting to turn in his head. I'm even starting to see the Vikings starting to make that push. And I'm not going to give us too much hope, but I'm starting to see a little bit with the Ravens. I'm starting to see good, fundamentally sound football. And it's like this. When I watch Lamar Jackson play, he is like I want to say a percentage kind of player. This is what I mean. I want to say, if it's doing like a 10 out of 10 rating, Lamar Jackson is this. 5 out of 10, he has good games. Then that, what's left? 5? Then it's that 3 games, that 3 right there is where he started to play awful. He started out hot, then he's cold, he's freezing cold, and then he warms up. This is what I want from Lamar Jackson. And I always say the one cannot change the many. But in this case, Lamar Jackson has to be that one. The defense will do all they can to put the Ravens in good position. But you, my guy, have to do the essential things. You have to be consistent. We in year 5 asking you to do things that you should have been doing. That tells me you're not working hard enough out there. And people say, well, why you hate on Lamar Jackson so much? He's doing this, he's doing that. If you would really focus on the game, you would see what I see. Lamar Jackson has games where he does just enough. And those games are called for because either the run game is working or the defense is just playing out their mind. And it's usually the first option. The run game is working. But there's going to come to times where a quarterback has to make throws in the postseason. Now, we get a lot of turnovers pretty much every game. But the thing is, I hate about what the Ravens is that they don't capitalize on it. You saw what Washington did against the Eagles. They capitalize on turnovers, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown. We don't capitalize on it because my quarterback is not doing the right things. I'm heavy because this is hot topic out here. But it's like this. People say, Lamar Jackson needs a wide receiver. That's the piece. That's not the piece, man. We need to stop that talk. We need to stop it. We need to stop that talk because there are guys that want championships with less. I hate to say it, but Tom Brady has won with less. He's had guys that can catch the football. He's had quarterbacks that transferred into receivers, catch the football in big time moments. They stepped up because they know their quarterback steps up. Devin Duvernay has played phenomenally this year. He has. And I'm not going to go without saying that he has. But when the other receivers going to step up? When are they going to step up? And it's like we keep signing old guys to help the new guys. I'm tired of that. We saw it with the defense. It's iffy with the defense, but the offense, you can't keep signing these old receivers. Let's start drafting receivers in the 2nd or 3rd round and develop them. Stop buying these short receivers. Stop it. They don't help us in the long run. Why is it that my receiver that's 5'10" has better hands than my 6-foot receiver? Why is it that my 5'10" receiver has more courage than my 6-foot receiver? And if you don't know who the 6-foot receiver is, it's Rashad Bateman. You're 6 foot. You're not a rookie anymore, yo. You're in your sophomore year. And that's all you can give me? I know you're hurt right now, but you got to take care of your body. You got to put on some weight, man. You got to put on some weight because we're depending on you. We're depending on you to help our quarterback. Even though it should be the other way around. My quarterback should be trying to help you out. But, it's crazy that we have to have this conversation. And it keeps bringing me back to my point that the one can't change the many. And we're really hoping that guys come back and be on a level of where they can say, you know what? I can't wait for Whistle Khan to come back because he's going to change life. What happened to that concept of next man up? If I know the number one receiver on my team went down and I'm the backup to him, oh, he ain't getting his job back. You wanna know why? Because I'm going out there and I'm doing great things. I ain't dropping a pass. I ain't missing a block. I ain't doing none of that because he ain't getting the job back. And Ray Lewis said one thing too. He said, I ain't miss a day. I worked my ass off. I made sure that nobody even thought they was getting their position back. Same thing with Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp said, man, I worked hard on special teams. I worked hard in the locker room. I asked a veteran, and he dissed me by giving me the wrong play, and I made him pay for it by taking his spot. That's what you got to do right now, man. That's what the Ravens need to do. The Ravens need to tell these guys, like, yo, next man up, man. But also what comes in the factor with the next man up is if you don't have the pieces to have the next man up, your ideals won't work. Look at Bill Belichick the last 2 years. That next man up mentality don't work all the time when you don't have the personnel. That's where the GM comes in. Stop trading away people that you know you're going to need along the line. It's never too much to have a lot of corners, and it's never too much to have a lot of offensive linemen. Unless you trade them for first-round picks. That's the only thing. What I look forward to seeing for the rest of the season is the Ravens actually making a push. I want them to win out because I don't want my coach to get fired. Because you mean to tell me we can't finish games? Then that reflects on my coach. You mean to tell me my defense ain't playing to the highest standards that they supposed to? That reflects my coach. You mean to tell me that my quarterback that wants $300 million can't perform at the highest level? That reflects my quarterback. That reflects my coach. Offensive linemen keep getting penalties. That reflects my coach. And any real owner is watching. He's like, yo, what the hell's going on out here? Why they keep lying on us? Why are we leading the league in penalties? Why we can't finish games? You sure you the right person for this job? But there's another thing too. I need the team to say, you know what? We're going to do this for ourselves, but we really going to win for John Harbaugh because he has the best developmental eye for talent in the NFL besides Bill Belichick. These guys use every weapon on the field, whether you haven't seen the field all year or whatever. They know what goes on in practice. They know what goes on in training camp. They know what goes on in the game in the locker room. They take the heat so that you can be safe. They take the responsibility to say, you know what, this is my fault, when it's really your fault. Like Lamar Jackson. John Harbaugh has been in your corner since you entered the league, and the least you can do is help win this division and push a playoff berth. If what you say you are Lamar Jackson, when you get to the playoffs, well, first win all these games first. But when you get to the playoffs, show the league who you are. Don't be just known as a regular season quarterback. Be known as a pure all-around quarterback that can win in the regular season and the postseason. Yeah, it's hard to win in the postseason, but that's what separates the all-time greats from the average players. Are you average or are you great? I'm your host, Jimmy Johnson Jr., and this is Vitaminsports. Peace.